Hello everyone! I am back after my little Christmas break with another video suggested by a viewer. I was asked to do a video review of someone's disc gameplay, and I wanted to make sure this wasn't a super scripted video, so I've only watched this once. Hopefully though, my insights can prove helpful to people on Council or any other boss that you might progress on, but tonight we're taking a look at Council. I also hope that people understand that although I might sound harsh, I have nothing but the best intentions in mind. Alright, here we are on Council of Dreams. So starting off on this boss, so much of this boss's damage happens early. And the reason for this is because of the green puddles on the floor. You have basically no ducks at the start clearing them, so you're taking a lot of dot damage, and couple that with the charges, and it's a lot of healing to be done. You usually have Bloodlust here and PI, which helps you with coverage and healing. Coverage especially is really important here. Radiance usage is a little bit difficult, and we'll talk a little bit about how you deal with the first roughly minute or so of this fight. Mastering this first minute is a big deal. It is kind of where most of your healing is done, honestly. So let's take a little look how he plays, and let's talk a little bit about what mistakes we're making. So, okay. So, Liam spread his dot here with Penance, and then it goes into Rapture. Now, I know beforehand that this ramp is gonna go wrong, and I'll explain what's gonna happen here. Do we see one Radiance usage? We see two Radiance usages. Now, here's the problem. With this much haste, you can actually just omit one of those Radiance usages and just go wider with single target atonements. And the reason why this is so helpful is because the next charge is where you want to use your Evangelism. And we'll see why in a second here. We'll also see what happens when you use two Radiance charges on the first ramp and you don't have two available later. See him go into flash heals here, desperately trying to cover more players. Now, the reason why this ramp is so important is because you cover that charge into the winds we see hitting us now. He missed his opportunity here by wasting a Radiance charge at the start, and now he's kind of playing retroactively. Now, at this point in the fight, 1 minute, the bear boss goes into his ultimate, and right after he charges, as you can see here. This catches our player here by surprise. He has basically nothing ready here. He used a Radiance charge into the Blind Rage itself, and paired a pet with basically nothing. It's important that you line this out in your head, kind of. You want to know when those Radiances happen, and when your pet kind of gets used. That's not what happened here, and we could see the kind of fallout from that. Anyway, so, moving on. We are now going into our next Rapture ramp. And I'm gonna pause the video here. If we look at the charge now, it's about to cast. He's not soaking here, which is nice, but it's about to finish casting it. Has 2 seconds left. He's just about done with his Rapture. He's still not Radianced. This is maybe 4 seconds off of hitting with his damage. Mindbender is not ready. This is a problem. We have not smited enough before this happened. We have ramped too late, and I think that the main note here that I would kind of give somebody if I did a log review here, for example, is that you really want to make sure that you know when it's too late or too early on a damage event to start ramping. You need to find ways to anchor yourself on this fight, or on any fight really. If you see that the charge is, let's say, 11 seconds away on your bigwigs timer, and you know that that's a good time to start ramping, because then you're neither too early or too late, for example, that's a really good kind of like mentality to have. Whereas here, I don't think there's been any such revelation to this player, and as such, this ramp was super late, and he had no Mindbender ready either. And this is kind of problematic, because on this fight, at this stage especially, most of the damage now is just the charge, because most of the puddles are now dealt with. We only have 12 stacks, down from the excess of 20 we had earlier. Alright, I'm gonna unpause now and continue watching. So we can see here that he has no pet active, he hasn't activated it yet either. And he uses it super late when all of his atonements have fallen off. Huge mistake. Let's see how he deals with this. We know that there's a ultimate coming soon where there's an overlap, and we're gonna have a charge go through here. He doesn't have pet. He has 1 radiance. He doesn't use either. That's okay. I think he's trying to find his feet here, and I think that's okay. There's a charge coming up. He has a couple of atonements out, but that's it. You can see him doing a little bit of a ramp here, using 2 radiances. He doesn't have his pet ready, he hasn't smited enough. But he at least hits it. And then he hits Mindbender late when everybody's already topped up. Super big mistake. So he tried to find his feet again, he couldn't, and ended up using his pet late again into nothing. A huge problem. This is such a loss of HPS. This Radiance is not bad at all. You can't hit every charge with 2 Radiances or every charge with a pet. So, kind of switching it up like that is super fine. Alright, so now we have our pet available again, so let's see what he does. See the ult here, where there's not much damage going out except the blind rage that should be dispelled. Alright, and then he goes into a rapture now, and this is for the next charge. This time we can see that I can already tell you that this is gonna be early. Super, super early. You can see why. The charge on the Bigwigs timer was quite a ways off when he was in the end stages of his ramp here. You can see all of his atonements falling off by the time that the thundering impact from the charge hits here. And this is kind of just another great example of how important it is to anchor yourself to something. A Bigwigs timer, a case weak aura, anything you can. Alright, so this part of the fight, what's gonna happen next is we're gonna have a charge into a winds. Let's also pay attention to how he has assigned himself in his personal note down here in the right corner-ish, middle-ish. So, we see the charge here. He's holding his radiances. He's very kind of, I think that this is very, like, he's playing with purpose. He can cycle a radiance here, and we see him try to do that on this winds. He ends up canceling it, and then getting ducked by somebody here. Yep. He gets out quite quickly, but because he's ducked for this long, his evangelism kind of eludes him here. And that's fine. What is really good here is that he does try to do something. He should have already used his radiances here just to hit it at all. But instead he ends up getting ducked on his evangelism, which is, you know, an average council pull. So what's gonna happen now is that we're gonna see if he can find his feet again. Is he gonna continue panicking here? So, he's got 1 radiance back. He's using it and pet retroactively here. People are still not completely topped, so it's not doing no healing, but very retroactive, kind of holy priest playstyle. I think that this is very indicative of somebody who has kind of like lost their plot on the fight. And we're gonna see more of this coming up, I think. So let's look at our cooldown usage now. We don't have anything more planned in our case personal note. So let's see how he ramps here. We got a charge paired with an ultimate coming soon. Let's see how he hits this. He uses his potion of frozen focus here, which is a super bad time. He has pet available and 2 rads. So here we see him go into a ramp. And this ramp is super strange. It's a rapture ramp that starts when he starts channeling charge, which is way too late. This entire ramp is super retroactive and ends up doing kind of nothing. It's really important that we don't play like holy priests, but I think that this entire ramp happened because he kind of fell out of focus when that happened with the ducks earlier. And I think that finding your feet like he did earlier, where he took a step back and thought, maybe it's better if I just hold here, try to get my cooldowns back so I can start getting some momentum. I think that doing that is way more important. We can kind of see him, well, panic a little bit. He uses a Radiance here. He doesn't use his pet. It is available. I would have definitely used my pet here. We're kind of in execute, so we have tons of healing here. We're not using Shadow or Death into those atonements. Keep in mind that Shadow or Death is a fantastic spell. That thing does so much damage. At this stage of the fight, all the bosses are basically dead. We see a Bear ultimate, see a Pip ultimate. We also see the fact that everyone is on the Bear. Every player is on the Bear. And Pip is still alive, and we need somebody with a shotgun to take that bird out, but we don't, and we're gonna end up wiping here. So, as we watch this wipe happen, I wanna summarize a little bit. I think I wanna go back to 2 points in this video to review 2 major problems that I see. And I think that the first one is that we really want to make sure we master the first minute and a half or so of this fight, where most of the damage is centered. The fact that we used 2 radiances for the Rapture Ramp and then ended up having a panic attack on the Evangelism following. I think that's a very good clue that we could spend more time between our pulls here on Prague, thinking about how we're playing this fight, where things went wrong, and what to improve. And I also want to cycle back to the ramp following the duck debacle, where we ended up kind of not being able to find our bearings again. So let's do that. Alright, I believe I found the post-duck debacle ramp. So let's take a little look at it. We have the charge ult coming soon on the Bigwigs timer here, and that's his ramp. He uses his potion of frozen focus here. He cancels it when he sees that the charge is coming, and then goes into Rapture now. There's obviously a million problems with this, but by the time that hits, we can see that everybody's getting healed up now. The monk is pumping, the Holy Paladin is pumping. He's punching radiances into people that are now full health, and then he sends Dark Reprimand into a full health raid. Obviously, doesn't need to be said, but stuff like this is an enormous throughput loss. When you kind of lose your feet, like he did earlier in the fight, when things happen that you kind of can't control, or maybe you messed up, being able to step back and kind of like let your cooldowns line up again, finding your rhythm again, is so important. Don't get tilted, or try not to. And like find that rhythm again. He did it earlier, but at this stage of the fight, I think that there was some degree of frustration that set in. I think that there's nobody that could kind of judge him. He got ducked twice. One of them was on his event ramp. And at this stage, he's kind of just playing like a holy priest. All of these things are just massive hits to your throughput. Make sure that you plan out your radiances. Make sure that between pulls you know what you're doing with them, especially in the most crucial points of the fight. And make sure that between pulls, you have a contingency plan for when things don't go your way. On this fight, the way that I worked around this was that I would omit ramps and try to find my rhythm again when things went bad. I think that's the last advice I'd give him. And anybody who also progresses this fight, or any other fight for that matter. I haven't done a video like this before, ever. So let me know what you think in the comments, please and thank you. And also, if you have any other types of videos that you think I should make, please let me know. And thank you for watching. Goodbye!